Yeah, no read. We'll get it once here, more. Yeah, we'll get it in the air. Well, it's all good.
I'm ready.
We have time. Stand by. What did?
My pen.
I've got 100 of them in my bag, but they're pretty far away. Goodyear ground jet test 8-1, ready for taxi.
Jet test 8-1, Goodyear ground information. Shirley's car, runway 3, taxi Alpha Alpha 10.
All right, taxi runway 3 Alpha Alpha 10, jet test 8-1.
Runway 3 Alpha Alpha 10. Clear right. Clear left.
I'm assuming we're going to be landing 7s.
Yeah, I looked it up on Flight Aware just out of curiosity.
Yeah.
Looks that way.
I'll hook you up with a ILS and all that.
I already got it set up.
Oh, sweet. Go on the ball. Jesus. These tires are like triangular.
Horrible. Oh,
I feel my fat jiggling.
I feel mine.
There is nothing ordinary about the kind of work that we do. I'm not talking about the flying airplanes, traveling the world on a regular basis. Really, those things are pretty mainstream. What we do is very different. We don't just fly one aircraft type, or even 2 or 3. We fly pretty much all of them. Wide bodies, narrow bodies, regional turboprops. We fly passenger planes, cargo planes, even head of state VIP aircraft. Some are modern aircraft right off the assembly line at Boeing or Airbus. Others, rust buckets on their way to be dismantled and scrapped. In the 17 years of living this crazy adventure, there are really very few places on Earth that I haven't at least set foot. I average 60, 70 countries every year. Sometimes we're there for an hour, sometimes for a few days. There's no real consistency or pattern to where in the world we end up week after week, and often our travel plans change on the fly. I may leave the house packed for Moscow, end up in Singapore, then on to Nome, Alaska, before pushing onward to Mombasa, Kenya. Often it can be weeks before I get back to the office, which, of course, is conveniently located in my house. Oh, and the planes we fly? They're totally empty. No passengers, no cargo, just a couple pilots and an empty airplane. So by now, I'm sure you're wondering, why? Well, not everybody knows this, but most airliners are owned by large financial organizations. Think of them as commercial real estate. Planes are typically leased to airlines for 5-10-year terms, painted up in the airline's colors, and operated by the airline's pilots. The thing is, these airplanes also need to be moved around when they're not in active revenue service, like when they're being delivered at the start of a lease, or when the contract is up and they're being returned to the lessor. Maybe they're being moved to maintenance, maybe in and out of storage for a period of time. Maybe they need to be flight checked after some sort of modification. Anyway, this is where we come in.
Well, here we are in Brisbane, walking down the line here, as you can see, picking up all 5 of these Virgin Australia airplanes, and first one's back there. I get the last aircraft coming out of the line of 5 coming across the Pacific. So it's a pretty well coordinated operation. It's been in the works for several weeks now. A lot of planning. I mean, travel, logistics, the quarantine, the pandemic, flight planning, maintenance, records, everything. It's been a very, very complicated project, but we're underway here.
Man, got this out. I'm gonna go out there and brave the Keflavik, Iceland, fucking torrential sideways downpour and help them fuel the airplane. I think that's a terrific idea. What's left of the airplane after that last landing?
Now we're just on the ground here in Cairo. They want us to arrive an hour later, so we're just gonna hold here. We're out here pulling this last MD-80 out for today anyway, and taking it over to Whiteville from Birmingham. Give you a walk up the back here. This bird's pretty nice still, actually. No mold in this one.
Some trips involve bringing along an extra relief pilot and pushing through for 20 or 30 hours straight. Others involve stopping for fuel, food, and overnight rest along the way, sometimes 4 or 5 times. For example, an empty Boeing 777 can make it nonstop from virtually any location in the world to any destination nonstop. An Airbus A320, on the other hand, that'll need to tackle the long-haul delivery flight in multiple stages. Regardless of the trip footprint, the reality is often that we end up spending an obscene amount of time sitting upright in aluminum tubes. Thin, dry air, the smell of airplane permeating our clothes, that all too familiar smell of coffee, kerosene, maybe a touch of lavatory. So, because of this, I'm always thrilled to crack open the main cabin door and descend into the fresh air, ripe with each country's own unique olfactory fingerprint. Smoky, scented, humid air that can only be Indonesia. Salty, continuous breeze of all the tiny atolls in the South Pacific. Even the frigid, biting, diesel-scented air of Siberia in the wintertime. It's so cold, your breath instantly turns to ice on your upper lip. So rather than just geeking out about airplanes for 20 minutes, we created this series to give you the opportunity to see the world through our eyes. Can't promise you that you're going to learn too much about any one location that we're filming, because our lifestyle just allows us to scrape the surface of most places. Imagine hopping into a plane and flying yourself over to the Maldives and hanging out in a rustic yet luxurious overwater hut, surrounded by a living reef, but only for 12 hours.
Well, it was a nice break here in the Maldives. We were here for a good solid 12 hours, and then packing up today. We've determined it's safe and good to get in and out of Kinshasa today. So we're going to proceed over to Mombasa, turn around, and in about an hour, and then head over to Kinshasa. We'll get in around 6 p.m. Goodbye paradise, hell is forthcoming.
Overall, we try to make the most of the unique opportunities afforded through this bizarre job. We bring our appetites because there's always food involved.
Our food op, we're looking at it right now. It's your basic grocery store in Kelowna. Guess there's some salads. Did you get any sandwiches or anything? No, I didn't.
We always overbuy. You got toothpaste though.
Yeah.
Planning on eating that?
Yeah.
And I'd be remiss in my failure to disclose that there's often golf involved. Of course, because said golf often occurs in exotic locations, I hope you'll find Ava's skills, and my complete lack thereof, at least a bit entertaining. Being on the road all the time, in different countries, around other cultures, it's really an endless book of stories. Stories from a strange arm's-length perspective that I hope gets you curious enough to join us on this journey. So subscribe. Follow Speed Tape Films. We'll see you in August.